Not all people are the same. Interests come and go, and obsessions end and then begin. In this new age of escapes and old favourites, technology and leisure, where do we draw the line? And more importantly, who crosses it? The eye of our youth is drawn to fantasy, with blockbuster high fantasy and sci-fi films being released each year in both cinema and gaming. The subculture of the geek is growing. This is Chris Boyle, 21 years old and an avid wargamer. We have arranged to follow him for a day in his hobby.
What is wargaming is it's a good social thing predominantly. It's nice to come together. I mean, obviously you build your armies by yourself, or you can do it in a group. But it's nice when you come together, you make friends out of it, especially at the big meetups. And it's a good social thing, and it's a good relaxing for me. I enjoy the painting, making things like that. So it's nice and fully rounded. It's a fully rounded hobby.
I'd say there's a much broader selection of people into role-playing games and board games than the stereotype would have you believe. Certainly it does seem to attract people who are maybe less interested in some conventional social pursuits, like, say, for when I was growing up being a boy, it was things like football and you know, being in a band. And if you were more interested in, say, intellectual pursuits like reading or computers, you might get into role-playing that way. But I found it attracted all sorts, from the most socially outgoing to the most introverted out there.
Just a roll for deployment. Can't stand against my clear dice. Shit.
It's going to be one of those days.
Oh, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd and proud. You can't take it too far. I have seen people at like games day going around dressed as commissars. I think that's pretty close to being too far. But I think just collecting, you couldn't take it too far.
I wouldn't really say too far. I don't think it's actually possible for me to say how far is too far. I mean, I have had a few nights where I've realised that I've not slept from staying awake painting all night. But I wouldn't see that really as being taken too far. That's just getting caught up in it, having so much fun with it that you lose track of time. So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, you could say it could be possible to take it too far, but I've never met anybody who has done. I'm not gonna lie, it is quite expensive, especially if you're like me and can't keep one project going. You always get the companies that you'll be fine and happy with one thing, then they'll bring out something new and pretty. You just, ooh, I want that. So it does snowball, but I see it as being, it's perfectly worth it, because it's so enjoyable, as I say, it's so relaxing, it's really rewarding to have something as well that you can show at the end, rather than just being, this is my hobby and I do this. So it's expensive, but the enjoyment sort of evens out the expense.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's more expensive than when I started anyway. But if you do, some armies are more expensive than others because of the sheer number of models you've got to get for them. If I had the money, I'd probably just get more and more models. But yeah, pretty deep into the hobby.
Any hobby, it can consume you and it can become your world. And I don't know if I ever met anybody who'd sort of taken role-playing too far as I would have seen it. I mean, there were people who spent an enormous amount of their time and money on playing role-playing games or buying the latest booklets or updates. And I mean, you could argue at some level, oh, maybe they should have been doing other things as well, but you also can think, well, this was a pursuit that made them really happy, and you'd have to wonder what sort of person does something that's making them really happy less.
The games that we play here, the main games are the tradable card games. They're very, very popular in this area. The likes of Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! And even Pokemon is becoming more and more popular, even with older people. We also have many Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games. There's a lot of board gaming goes on. And as an alternative to the likes of Games Workshop, we have wargaming tables, and that's very popular because Games Workshop fills up very quickly. And the older people who've already got all their armies and spent their money on the stuff need somewhere else to go. This is the place for them. The Silent Teacup is basically a gamer cafe. It's more of a community-based area for people to come in, play games, and basically have fun without any other outside influences. People used to play in places like Subway or McDonald's, but if they weren't continually eating or drinking, if the place was getting a bit busy, they get thrown out. Here, we don't care if they buy anything, they're part of a community.
There's a lot of negative sort of aspect towards, you know, say if you're seen in a shop, you frequently get people wandering past and all, which is it's just infuriating rather than anything. It's not any real, and it's just mildly annoying when you get people who just it sounds really strange to say this, it's fear of the different. We're a bit different, and nobody really knows what's going on. So we're sort of slightly ostracised. But I mean, I've got loads of friends who don't do it, who have no problem with me, you know, sort of playing war games or anything like that. I'm just a normal bloke. It's just I've got this hobby that I do, which I don't see as abnormal, and I don't think anyone else should really see as abnormal.
Hanging out with your mates, just talking about it or playing against them. But there's some bits like painting them, but you can't really do that in big groups. So it's nice to have stuff on your own sometimes as well. I wouldn't buy them pre-built because I love building them and converting them, but I'd buy them pre-painted because I'm just too lazy to paint them myself.
Actually, contrary to popular belief, there are actually girls who play this. Nobody believes this, but I mean, my girlfriend actually does. First met, she was, what's all this? Little plastic and metal people. Gave it about 6 months. There she was. She's happily painting away. Still not got a playing yet. Almost there. But yeah, I mean, it's a common belief that it's a guy-orientated thing. And I mean, you do get moments where if you go to, say, you'll see girlfriends arriving with boyfriends, letting them go in, and then I'll just go off and do something else for a while. But you do frequently get girls playing. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a gender-specific hobby in the slightest. It's just somehow got this stigma of the concept of, you know, sort of nerds sitting around being nerds, which is actually completely wrong. I'm sure I could probably go deeper into that hobby. I could go the whole hog, showing up to all the events and in full fantastic costume, which I've seen quite a few of. But I'm happy as I am. You know, making my models, painting them, playing games. I'm just happy with it like that.
Now, there I have to admit that there is a much stronger grain of truth to the image of the role player and the board gamer as a guy rather than a girl. In my many years of role playing and board gaming, it was almost always a predominantly male pursuit. I mean, there are many reasons why that might be true. Certainly, a lot of men enjoy competitive games more than women do. So, certainly for the board game and tabletop wargaming element, the competitive sort of draw wouldn't have been as attractive for women. Role-playing, you tend to see a bit more of a sort of gender, not necessarily a balance, but more women playing. But even there, I guess, the fact that there are a lot of men playing already creates a sort of critical mass where some women who might be interested feel a bit put off by what they see as a kind of a boys-only club.
As Chris leaves, the ideal of roleplay and the total immersion that geek culture seeks and strives for oozes intrigue. How many people do this, and where do we meet them? The journey needs go no further than the local game master, Gareth Adams. From the light-hearted, dice-ruled world of wargaming to something completely different, we bring you this session of a popular role-playing game called Dungeons & Dragons, and an insight into its players.
For Christmas I got a 3rd edition starting set, and from there I slowly... I wasn't very good at the time, I always particularly remember. I was always particularly sad whenever a character died, as a small child would, but yeah, basically I started playing, met up with this group who does this on Saturdays. It's a bit less rule heavy, but got that, played that, and mostly been playing since then, yeah.
So remind me of how you pronounce each of the characters' names, because I want to get this right.
Brossel.
Brossel.
Malfuerte or Karen.
A pen and paper game is essentially a game controlled mainly by a combination of dice rolls and just plain old imagination, where, as the name would suggest, you use usually pen and paper. Some people use their laptops these days or the computers to make notes of what's happening, where you are, who your characters are, and what you're fighting. And that's generally on the basis that, of course, here there are no like save points you can go back to like in a video game, and you can't rewind. So it's a case of if something happens, you've got to remember it, because if you don't, then well, that's it. So it's basically a combination of board gaming and sort of free-form role play.
I don't really see it as ostracised. I mean, some people do obviously view D&D as a bit of a geeky thing, but when you get down to say like the very, very bare basics of it, it's just a dice rolling game,
I definitely think that there are benefits from role playing. I think that it stimulates creativity and sort of language skills. I mean, I would say I learned an awful lot of what the little I know about creative writing from coming up with role-playing scenarios and characters in role-playing. I think people underestimate how much it does enhance social skills. I mean, people see role players as kind of shut-ins or board gamers as shut-ins who aren't social, but they're often tremendously social within their own group, and anything that brings you out to meet other people on a regular basis teaches you lots about empathy, about you know, perspective taking, about collaboration and cooperation.
You will, of course, be compensated for your travel.
I'm the paladin!
Yes!
I went through all the trials and the god selected me. Why are you bringing the short man?
To make sure you don't screw up, like all the other times. Do you remember the so-called Dragon of Dunkirk?
Look, I told them before, I was sure it was evil. I didn't realise it was going to be a child in a costume.
Do you have any idea how long we spent apologising for that? People tend to characterise the D&D player as a sort of isolated animal who sort of exists almost on its own, but I think that's a really bad fallacy, because, as was indicated, you can't play D&D on your own. To realistically play D&D, you really need to have at least one other person, usually at least 2 other people. So really I think it is inherently social. Okay, both of you make a reflex save. Is that you? Yep, that's a No.
Is it 4th edition it's under, or is it not? No, it's under.
Is it? How does the save work again? You roll over your save?
No, 4th edition it's under because the higher the number means that you're more likely to...
Yeah, I use 3.5 though.
There were some stories I know of people who've definitely taken the game far too far.
Yeah, the things I've heard, there are people who just need to lay it down a bit. I mean, I've heard of people just like, especially you, LARPing, they just, oh god, they get too seriously into it, and they're, like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting into your character, but when you're living that life all the time, you've got to rethink things.
It's hard to know what motivates someone who is that competitive. I mean, your conventional explanation, even from a non-psychologist, might be that they're compensating for what they may see or maybe not willing to acknowledge are their own inadequacies in sort of everyday interaction. So they're trying to be a winner in the game, conventional wisdom says, because they're not a winner in real life. I think there might be a grain of truth to this, as there is with all propaganda, that certainly people who have insecurities will be more likely to seek out conditions where they can kind of reassure themselves that they are good at something. I think for some people there is just that's the style of game they enjoy. I mean, you know, role players are no less immune to being snobbish than any other group, and so simply because the people who play the characters for the love of the drama of it and the narrative are seen as a pure animal than the munchkin who plays to get the +6 sword or something. That doesn't mean that there's any real sort of true validity to the role player who does it for drama as opposed to the one who does it for success or victory. I think role players have their own sort of social rules, and that may be part of it. I think some role players who are munchkins or who sort of seek to undermine other people are sort of almost using the game as a form of catharsis, you know, a chance to blow off steam, to, if you like, express frustrations and angers that they may be experiencing in their real life in a controlled environment where they can do horrible things and be competitive and nasty to other people, and it doesn't have any long-term consequences for them. So in that sense it's doing them some good.
Live action, pen and paper, and wargaming. 3 facets to a genre so vast, its worlds and laws could fill this world better than history itself. It spans console gaming, comics, anime, and so much more. This is the era of escapism in which we live. The frontiers are blurred, and a step too far is a step not far enough to those with a true passion for their art. This is the geek culture. Judge it as you will.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming. It's been quite a long journey for some of you. Today's, well, this week's little scenario is Forest Crossing. All good?
Yes.
You all know?
Yes.
Yeah? So basically, the gist of it, you've all entered the forest, you're all going through... The wizard's talking! Shh! You've all entered the forest, and the forest paths have converged upon one point for reasons unknown and terrifying. A dark power has brought you together, and it is only together that you will break it. Your quest.
To find the jewels in a cave.
What cave? An underground cave?
Yes.
I don't believe it.
Exactly.
Do you swear under the oath of Molag Bal?
Oh, I do.
Do you accept him?
I do.
Do you take his unholy sacrament into your mouth?
For now.
Good.
I'd like to
sit
say that I
down.
do not agree to that.
Next!
I told one of my mates once, one of the lads at the base, he's one of my best mates there, his name's Hurley. And I told him about this, that I used to laugh in the past while I've done it, and he took the piss at me for about 6 months straight. He was pretty relentless when it came to it. I mean, I'm fine with a laugh and a joke, you know. We have to, obviously, we give jokes to each other. That's the entire point of the military. It's just good banter, as it's known. But no, it is one of those things that you don't run around parading saying something that you do, because it's not seen in society as the thing that you do, because it's so different from what everyone else does that it's not widely accepted. People obviously just consider it to be a weird hobby. Yeah, it is a bit weird because it's so immersive and so different. Like if, I don't know, reenactors, I have no idea why the hell they do that. I genuinely don't. If I met a reenactor, I'd probably take the piss out of him, and he'd probably take the piss out of me for doing the LARPing thing. But we'd still have a mutual understanding between us that it's something that we both enjoy, and it's something that, you know, that we both do because we enjoy it. That's the point of it.
Now that the oaths have been sworn, we might get to work. The costumes are here. You may choose which you want. Some of you already have called dibs, obviously, but
The world of dibs exists in this world.
The world of dibs
This
does
is the
exist.
world of dibs.
We have several costumes, and not all of them are always available. Some of them are a bit cooler than others.
I really like this colour.
You really like the really lovely. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Don't excuse me.
Just a couple of words. We're going to a place called Heaton Park in Manchester. We've been a few times. We kind of have to call the police every time we are going because we're using fake weapons. But interestingly enough, you can actually get arrested for LARPing. The word weapon in the law doesn't have any sort of distinction. If you get caught, it's as if you've got like it's as if you've got one of these. Obviously, we wouldn't take this because it's metal. But even if you've got like something stupid and foam, and someone complains, it's like you can get done for having a lethal weapon.
Obviously, if you walk down the street with something that's made of, I don't know, an axe made of foam, then yeah, you're going to get in trouble with the police. But not that stupid. The point is, it's done in closed-off sites where no one comes, and it's a private event, and it just happens in that thing. No one comes there. That's why it's done mostly in fields and stuff, away from society as a whole. No, I don't think it's overkill. I mean, why would you? I wouldn't consider overkill at all because it's an immersive thing. The more immersed in it you want to be, you can be. Overkill to me is sat there for 3 days in a row playing a single computer game, not sleeping and not eating. That's not right. Something's obviously gone wrong there. But with the people that do LARP, or with the LARPing events that people go to, it's not overkill because of the immersive quality to it. People do it because they love it and it's an escapism for their work, but they're still completely in control of, they know who they are, they're pretending to physically be someone else. And unless, I don't know, Heath Ledger, who does it for 3 months in a hotel room on his own, or a month in a hotel room on his own, then no, it's not overkill. I study acting as a university course, so obviously no. Obviously if you want to be an actor then that's clearly more subversive because you're doing that every single day of your life and stuff. Obviously there's a massive difference between it though, because one's scripted and one is just not. Like, obviously as an actor you get given a script, you go right, do it. You can even, I know, sometimes you just write your own scripts and stuff like that. But when it comes to doing a LARPing event, none of it's scripted. Certain things happen during the day, like someone will, on the monster team will rock up and start smashing your tents down and you, what the fuck are you doing? But then that entire situation is a plan. No one knows what's going to happen because it's the idea of all these characters together being put in a massive mixing pot. Something's going to blow up. That's why it's just so much more interesting because it's just no one can plan it, and you see some of the funniest things you'll ever see in your life.
Saying things.
This was once a mighty temple.
I don't like him either. He's not very nice. He's mean. I don't like mean people.
It was once a holy place, a lord of seeking, a place where people would come to find what they had once been bereft of. Life, gold, love. But now its magic is waning. It has but one charge left, and that charge will be to find what you are seeking.
If you do want to do it, and you don't want to tell anyone, or people around you are supportive, definitely do it. Because it's some of the best times you'll ever have in your life for doing it. Definitely. The only two things I can think. I've had the best moments of my life was in the army and doing LARPing. And heads above tails with the rest. They both are easily the best things you can do. Genuinely, fitness as well. You know, keeps you running around the field all day and stuff.
How could a child die well? That's not really nice.
It would be best if you keep this quick so that we can all get on the event.
Very well.
Did you kill a child?
Pass under the archway. You must go first, Lord Edward.
What?
Go forward.
I think you'll find LARPing is first and foremost a community. You'll usually find it groups of geeks, nerds, call them what you want. You get together, secluded place, field, or sometimes people actually pay for fields to be rented out for these events and all that. And they go, and they have a really, really good time. To play in a game of live action role playing, to be a LARPer, I think you need to be outgoing. You need to have an essence about you that you can just slip off all this. You can just take off whatever mask that you're wearing today, or what mask you're going to be wearing tomorrow. Set aside all those fears because they're not your fears anymore. You're someone else.
Where's Arden? Who are you? Why are you following us?
Gold! Just gold! I only wanted gold.
One side. There's an enchantment upon you.
No enchantment upon me!
In the name of the Secret Lord, reveal your true form to me. You called us here. What are you doing hiding under this pixie illusion?
It is escapism in essence. It's getting out of your daily routine, whether it's school, university, work, for a blissful 3 or 4 hours. You're not you. You're an orc, you're a mage, you're a warrior, you can rename yourself and reinvent yourself, and I can understand why people are fretful to do that. But people do it every day. It's no different to going on an online game, taking on the role of someone else. People do that for hours, for days sometimes. And I don't particularly think that that's a bad thing at all. No.
Do you consider yourselves friends now? Brothers in arms?
Good for your luck. Perhaps so.
Well, that should suffice for this.
What? What are you doing?
Kill him.
It's acting in essence, but only in essence. Because really it's about escapism. Really it's about getting out of your routine. It's about having a good time. The reason I do it is just that. It's not that I don't like myself, I very much like myself, but there's just some things I love more.
Recording hubble now.
I'm gonna stab a bad man.
I love the idea of high fantasy, that Tolkien-esque medieval. I'm not saying it can only be medieval, but I really like that setting. High elves, dwarves, drow, dunmer, you know, whatever setting you want, you can do it. And that's the beauty of LARPs. It really is a big beauty of it. That's why people